Welcome back to our GCSE Math series. This is Lesson 2, and today we are going to break down the essential language of numbers. You know, understanding this stuff isn't just about memorizing definitions for the sake of it. It's about having the right tools to take apart any problem an examiner throws at you.
So when you see words like integers, primes, and factors, do you just think they're boring vocabulary you have to learn? Well, they're not. By the end of this, you'll see how they are actually incredibly powerful tools that can unlock the trickiest questions, especially on that non-calculator paper.
All right, let's jump in. Here's our plan for today. We're going to start with the absolute basics, then build up to the really crucial skill of prime factorization. And finally, we'll apply it to totally master those highest common factor and lowest common multiple questions. Let's get you ready for that exam.
First up, the number family tree. Before we can do anything complex, we need to be super clear on the fundamental groups that all numbers belong to.
Let's start with the simplest one, an integer. An integer is just a whole number. That's it. No fractions, no messy decimals. It can be positive, like 5 or 12. It can be negative, like -3. Or it can be 0. Simple as that.
Okay, this is a really key difference you need to get your head around. Rational versus irrational numbers. A rational number is, well, it's tidy. It's any number you can write as a nice, simple fraction. That includes decimals that stop, like 0.5, which is just a half, and even decimals that repeat forever, like 0.3333, because that's just 1/3. Irrational numbers, on the other hand, they're the wild ones. You can't write them as a simple fraction, and their decimal places go on forever without any repeating pattern. The most famous one, of course, is pi.
So we've sorted our numbers into their basic types. Now let's look at how they actually relate to each other. This is all about multiples, factors, and those super special numbers we call primes.
Multiples are probably the most straightforward idea we'll talk about today. A multiple of a number is just anything you'd find in its times table. So if we're talking about the multiples of 7, you're just counting up in sevens. 7, 14, 21, 28, and on forever. Factors are kind of the opposite. They're the numbers that divide into another number perfectly, with absolutely no remainder left over. You can think of them as the building blocks or the Lego bricks that make up a number. So for example, 6 is a factor of 18 because 18 divided by 6 gives you a nice whole number, 3.
So how do you find all the factors of a number without accidentally missing one? You've got to be systematic. Let's use 18. You always start with 1 in the number itself, so 1 times 18. Then you just work your way up. Does 2 go into 18? Yup. 2 times 9. How about 3? Yes, 3 times 6. Does 4 go in? Nope. 5? No. The next number to check would be 6, but hang on, we've already got that in our list. So that's how we know we're done. We found every single one. Now, these little tricks right here are absolute gold, especially for your non-calculator paper. They're shortcuts to check for factors without doing any long division. You just look at the number. If the last digit's even, you know it divides by 2. If you add up all the digits and that total is in the 3 times table, the whole number divides by 3, and the rules for 5 and 10 are even easier. Just look at the last digit. You need to memorize these. They're lifesavers.
And all this talk of factors leads us to the real superstars of the number world, prime numbers. A prime number is special because it has exactly 2 factors, 1 and itself. That's it. It can't be broken down any further. Now, this next bit is crucial, so listen up. 1 is not a prime number. Why? Because it only has 1 factor, itself.
Honestly, do yourself a huge favor and just memorize these first 10 prime numbers. They pop up everywhere in exam questions, and if you know them instantly, you'll save so much time. And notice something cool? 2 is the only even prime number. Every other even number can be divided by 2, so it can't be prime.
Okay, let's quickly touch on another important group, the power players. I'm talking about square and cube numbers, which you get when multiplying a number by itself.
Squaring and cubing are really just a bit of shorthand, a lazy way of writing repeated multiplication. So a square number, like 5 squared, is just 5 times 5, which gives you 25. And a cube number, like 5 cubed, just takes it one step further. It's 5 times 5 times 5, which is 125.
Right, I need your full attention here because this is probably the most important skill we're going to cover today. We are about to learn how to unlock a kind of secret code that's hidden inside every single whole number.
The official name for this is prime factor decomposition. Now, I know that sounds complicated, but all it really means is breaking a number down until all you're left with is a string of prime numbers multiplied together. It's like finding a number's unique DNA or fingerprint made up of nothing but primes.
And the best way to do this is using a factor tree. Let's take a big number, like 432. We start by splitting it into any pair of factors. It doesn't matter which. Let's do 2 times 216. Now 2 is a prime number, so we circle it. That branch is finished. But 216 isn't prime, so we have to split it again. Let's do 2 times 108, and we just keep going like this, splitting every number that isn't prime until every single branch ends with a circled prime number.
So once all your branches end in circled primes, you just gather them all up. For 432, we ended up with 4 2s and 3 3s. The neatest way to write this, and how you'll get the marks in an exam, is using powers. So we write it as 2 to the power of 4 times 3 to the power of 3. And that right there is the unique prime code for 432. No other number in the universe has that exact same code.
So, what was the point of all that? Well, here comes the big payoff. Knowing this prime factor code makes finding the highest common factor and the lowest common multiple, which are classic exam questions, incredibly simple.
Let's say the question asks for the HCF and LCM of 36 and 120. Step 1 is to do a factor tree for each number to find their prime codes. So, 36 becomes 2 squared times 3 squared, and 120 becomes 2 cubed times 3 times 5.
To find the highest common factor, or HCF, you just follow 2 simple steps. First, you look for the prime factors that are common to both numbers. Here, they both have 2's and they both have 3's. Then, for each of those common factors, you pick the one with the lowest power. So we'll take the 2 squared, not the 2 cubed, and we'll take the 3 to the power of 1, not the 3 squared.
Now, all you have to do is multiply those bits you chose together. 2 squared is 4 times 3 gives you 12, and that's it. That's your HCF. 12 is the biggest number that will divide perfectly into both 36 and 120.
Okay, now for the lowest common multiple, or LCM. The method is just as easy, you just flip the rule. This time, you use every prime factor that appears in either number. So that's a 2, a 3, and a 5. And this time, you pick the one with the highest power for each. So we'll grab the 2 cubed, the 3 squared, and the 5.
And finally, we multiply those highest powers together. 2 cubed is 8, 3 squared is 9, and then we've got the 5. So 8 times 9 times 5 gives us 360. That's our LCM, the very first number that you'll find in both the 36 and the 120 times tables. See, this method is foolproof.
So the big takeaway here is that this isn't just some random trick for one type of question. Being able to see the prime DNA inside any number is a fundamental skill that opens up so much more advanced maths. Now that you have this power, what other complex problems do you think you could unlock with it? We'll find out in our future lessons. Well done, and I'll see you for the next one.